So the next presenter up is Doug Phillips from Southern California Edison. And Doug is going to be talking about a subject that has really become near and dear to my heart. I'm actually going to be delivering a longer version of this, a similar sort of presentation at the NACE conference, the National Association of Colleges and Employers Conference in Orlando in June. So if anybody's there and you want to hear a longer, less informative presentation, sit in on mine. Talk about walk the walk. Doug uses practices what he is about to preach. I only speak about it. So I'm more like Marcus Welby, where I'm not really a doctor, but if you want to buy Bayer aspirin, then I'm going to get a bonus for running this, for being in this commercial. So without further ado, Doug is up, and he is going to be talking with us about employer metrics, what they are, why we need to use them, how to use them. Thanks, Doug.
Appreciate it. All right. How's everybody doing? Fantastic. Oh, I got a tweet. Hold on. Doug, get off the stage. Wow. It doesn't take long for my staff to get a hold of me really quickly like that. Just wanted to thank you for having me today. And my background, I hope everybody might have taken a look on LinkedIn to see where I've been and what I've been doing, because if I went through all of the places I've been, it would take the full 20 minutes for me to be here. But I don't know everything. I'm not going to pretend to know everything, but I think I can give you a couple of real good tidbits that you can kind of take with you. And if you want to come up and talk with me afterwards too, I'm going to be talking a little bit about some surveys and being able to measure quality. I will be more than happy to give you some sample surveys that I put together at a couple of different places. So again, I'm kind of one of those guys. I like to share, I like to give away, because if we're all doing it halfway decent, I think that's just better for everybody. So just wanted to throw that out to everybody here. Two things I want to get across today. I don't know how to use this little clicker, but I'm assuming. There we go. All right. Two things I want to get across today to make sure that everybody comes out of this presentation is you can measure quality. There's a lot of people that always say you can't measure quality, it's too hard, I don't know how to do it. So hopefully I'll be able to show you a couple ways to do that. And then the other thing is all the work and effort that you put into the whole metrics and measurements piece. Tay had some really nice examples of some really cool 3D funnel stats and things like that. Mine's a little less cool, but I'm going to show you a little bit about that. Do something with those metrics. There's so many people that do all the work and then it sits in a drawer or it's in a binder somewhere or something along those lines. So again, two things. You can measure quality and make sure that you're doing something with your metrics. Okay? Alrighty. I've never been like looking at this thing. It's just so cool. You got everything's all techie here. I'm loving it. So here's some of just the basics. I know there's a lot of different levels of individuals here. I was talking to a couple of people when I came in. We've got some people who have been in their roles for a short period of time, some long time. But again, some of the basics. I want to first talk about funnel statistics. People, I think, forget that when you're putting together a hiring plan, and then I know some of you are like going, hiring plan, I wish we had one. We don't either, so don't feel like you're alone there. Workforce planning, all those fun, great, cool words. But you have to start somewhere, and you have to start on the bottom and go backwards. So you have to know what your hiring goal is, and then you kind of go backwards from there. So when you're putting things together, you've got to have some funnel stats, and you have to know, how many people are actually going to accept my offer, who's going to turn it down, how many second round interviews do we have to have, first round interviews, how many events, how many resumes, and then that's how many schools we probably are going to need to go to. So again, I know I'm telling some people, they're like going, duh, we know this, Doug, can you get on to something else? But what's interesting about funnel stats and just metrics in general is they're very, very strategic. And how you do all these different things are really, really important to what you do year in and year out. And I'm going to show you at the end too what you can really use in terms of when your manager comes to you and starts asking those tough questions about, hey, do you want a bigger staff? Why do you want a bigger staff? Hey, we're thinking about, shrinking the university campus program. How many people have heard that before? I mean, all these different types of things that are going on. This is really, really, really important. All right. Again, I don't want to read these slides to you. I want to touch on a couple of things really quickly. And the first one I want to talk about is source of hire. Okay, how many people here have an applicant tracking system? All right? Look at your applicant tracking system and go in there and find out and make sure that it just doesn't say college university. Okay? Source of hire is so much more than just the college university. Okay? Was it at an information session? Was it at a career fair? Was it at a diversity and inclusion event? What was it that really sparked the interest of these particular individuals? Really, really important when you're saying, hey, I need to put more money, more time, a better strategy into some of these different types of things. Source of hire is really, really important. Cost per hire, I'm not a huge cost per hire fan. Never have been. I don't think I ever will be. It's a little bit different, but everybody's got an accounting department, finance people, and they all want this. So, it's like, okay, Doug, that's great, but what does it really mean? NACE, the National Association of Colleges Employers, has a really, really easy, straightforward formula for cost per hire. There are some people that get really, really into it, but it's basically total direct recruiting costs divided by the total number of hires. Now, some people are like going, Doug, should I put my recruiter costs in there? What about when I invite the CEO? Should I figure his salary out by hour? That's a lot of calculation. I'm not really good with math. I don't know about you. You don't have to go to the nth degree with that, but if you want to put that information in there, I guess you could. But again, it's just trying to get a sense of that cost per hire. That's something that's important. Intern to full-time conversion. I have found in all the places that I've gone that that's a very, very interesting statistic. It's a very interesting equation. Some people do it differently. The last place that I worked, prior to starting there, I interviewed and I said, hey, what's your intern to full-time conversion? Well, it's 93%. Wow, that's fantastic. I won't have to worry about that, so on and so forth. Well, I come to find out that they actually figured it out by saying, here are all the people that we had. We had 100 interns. Of those 100 interns, we liked these 25. And of those 25, 23, we decided to convert into a full-time hire. Okay, that's a great way to create really good statistics, but it's wrong. And I think everybody laughing, I think we all know that. So make sure that you've got the right equation. It's total number of eligible interns that are going to be graduating that next year. So again, just make sure that you understand that. What else should we actually be measuring? What else should we actually be tracking? Degree, major, it's like, okay, maybe that's important to some people. Do we have any people whose companies are very GPA-centric? Yeah, only a couple still. Fantastic. I hope that goes away. I would have never been hired based on my cumulative GPA. But I had a 3.01 in my major. How many have seen that resume before? Well, I've got a cumulative GPA of 2.1, but my major. Your BU, your organizational unit, all these different types of things, super, super important. Immigration. Real quickly, we all, especially people here in the Silicon Valley, this H-1B thing and visas, this, that, what's going on. It costs money. Your senior management wants to know what are the costs that are related to that. It's easy to track that information. Don't forget those types of things. Relocation. Don't forget things like, if I grow the program, I notice LinkedIn, they've grown the program in terms of their interns. Well, where do we stick all those people? Oh, that's right. They need a cubicle or they need an office. Or these are all types of things that we sometimes forget about. And I just wanted to bring that out really quickly. The why around metrics is pretty straightforward. What needs improvement? I want to be able to anticipate trends. I need to make some adjustments to things that are going on. The bottom dropped out of the economy. I'd like to be able to kind of anticipate that and adjust to those types of things. Social media. When I started in university and campus relations, I had no idea what that was or even if it did exist. I'm still trying to figure that out. I have younger people to help me in terms of those types of things, but those are important things. Providing results to senior management, your return on investment, and then what about being able to reward your staff? to evaluate your staff. These are all things that are really, really important as it relates to that. It's right up here. How do I gather them? What do I use? Some of you come from really, really big companies, and you're like, I got an applicant tracking system. I know we're not supposed to sell here, so I just put a couple up there. It doesn't mean that those are the best applicant tracking systems. I've learned there's no great applicant tracking system. It's really how you put it together. So I don't want to focus in on that. When I look at human resources information systems, you've got PeopleSoft, you've got SAP, there are several other things that are out there. How many people have tried to put together campus teams, before, at their locations? I want to put, I'll just use a school that's up here. I want to build a campus team for Stanford, okay? Well, where do I go to get that information? Well, we've got 10,000 employees. Guess what? Your HRIS system probably, that hasn't been the case always for me, but probably has a list of where they all are. It's like they graduated from this particular school. You don't have to work. It's like right there, easy to find. It's great to be able to do that. Candidate relations management systems. Again, I'm not going to harp on this. Rexeloo, similar to what other companies are starting to do. I know LinkedIn's got a product that's going down this direction, this path. It's just fantastic to be able to go out on campus. You've got your iPad. Your resume is already loaded up. You're talking with the individual, and you're taking down notes in terms of where they want to go, what they want to do. You push a button. You can send something directly to the hiring manager who's looking for that person. Rexeloo, if you want to talk a little bit more about it, great. Be more than happy to talk to you about it. But again, it's another way to be able to track and manage this information 24/7. Doug, it's great. I met a couple young ladies. So are you part of the campus university team? Well, we're kind of the entire talent acquisition team. How many? I've been there, done that. So it's like we don't have like 30 people to be able to do everything, and we don't necessarily have a budget or the money to be able to, go out and buy some of these software packages. Excel works great. I came up with a nice little acronym, Candidate Yearly Analysis Report, because I actually called it something else. I called it the CYA report. But basically what it's all about is, again, you're just tracking that information and you put it on a spreadsheet. You don't have to be super complicated or have a huge budget or have 30 staff. You can have just a couple of people. Is it a lot of work? Darn right it's a lot of work. How many people have been in university campus relations, talent acquisition for like 15 years plus? Anybody? Okay, so we got a few people. Word perfect? I mean, I know that people are like, word perfect, what? I heard of that. I passed the computer history place over here. I thought, I bet there's some word perfect stuff over there. But again, it's just being able to, have a sense of what needs to be used, what doesn't need to be used. You've got onboarding, you've got exit interviews. When you onboard people, why not ask them information? Hey, how did it go? What happened? If they take off, what's going on, so on and so forth. All right, employee measurements, quality. Quality is a little tougher. You've got to really dig and you got to go into a lot of different things. What I really wanted to do, but I'm not going to have any time, I wanted to show you an actual survey that we put together, but I just don't have time to do that. But SurveyMonkey, and again, whatever you decide to use, SurveyMonkey is $29.98 a month, encrypted. It's really easy, prints out some really great graphs, got a lot of information. But I want to tell you, it's important to understand what it is that you're actually trying to get out of this. Do you want to know what your staff is doing? Do you want to know what your clients think about your programs? Do you want to know, do we have any coordinators here? University campus, university relations coordinators. I always hear people go, no one ever asks about how we do or what we're doing. I don't know about you, but my coordinators, if I didn't have my coordinators, they are the lifeblood to what we do. I think everybody would pretty much agree, and the two young ladies who are coordinators like, darn right. That's exactly what's going on. But, I want to know what it is they're doing. I want to know how they're responding. You can ask questions around those different types of things. There's things like, we do a couple things a little bit differently. We try to take some of our target schools and we try to say, how are we doing on your campus? I use it as developmental for my staff. I use it as development for the staff at the career services centers. But we go in there during the summer and we basically say, hey, UC San Diego, I'll use it as an example. How did we do? Here's our information. We hired 25 students. Here are the types of jobs that we hired. Again, compliance, we can't say everything and woohoo, we can't give them a name and, you can't give a salary. It's like, okay, well, they make between 60 and 61,000. There's ways to work around that. But what's cool about that is I get to find out how are we doing at UC San Diego. Well, hey, just want to let you know, Doug, your team, you got in a little bit late. That's why you didn't have so many people. And I know you only had an information session. You only had about 13 people show up, but that's because you were doing an information session, in November. Whatever it may be, you're getting information back from all these people. I like to look at first round interviews. Hey, we interviewed you. We like this group. We don't necessarily want to move forward with this group, but guess what? Those people from this group, they can give you a lot of great information about, different types of things. You want to tap into that. You've got second round, people that you're moving forward to potential offers, and you got people that you declined. How was the interviewer? What was the quality of the info sessions? Did we give you the right directions? You can pick up really valuable pieces of information that you can ask these people. It's very, very important. And then you've got the offer decline, and then you've got the offer accept. Who wants to take a guess at what the highest percentage of feedback that I get out of those four groups? First round, second round, offer accept, offer decline. Anyone? First round declines. Biggest percentage back. On average, I'm getting over 42% feedback, which is great. I love it, right? But it's like the people who accept, they don't ever say anything to us. Very rarely say anything to us. It's those other individuals, so it's important that you're measuring more than just one thing, okay? Clients, target schools, blah, 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 all right? Using the metrics. Again, I got to talk to my company executives. Here's the overall strategy. Here's the value of the program. Anyone said, hey, we gotta decrease your budget? Anyone? Anyone ever had? Hey, we gotta shrink the number of staff that you have. Hey, you know what? We want you to do everything. We want you to do our experienced. We want you to do the college stuff. Oh, we're gonna start a high school program. We just want you two to do everything, right? Okay? Well, if you're really tracking these metrics the right way, you can use these things to be able to actually give these individuals some information. It's really, really helpful. You got to talk to your talent acquisition, staffing, HR, whatever you call them. We're now Talent Solutions. Our name changes every couple months, whatever it may be. But again, you have to be able to say, here's what university and campus relations is doing. Here's what the full cycle is doing. How many times it's like, well, campus stuff, well, whatever. But it's really, hey, the experience, here's what we're doing. Think about surveys. Anyone seen the CLC Red survey? We use that. It's pretty cool, right? So we take our survey stuff and we make it look like the CLC stuff so that our executives go, oh, okay. Wow, that makes sense. Wow, look at how much more they're doing than the... Sometimes that happens, right? So again, you're making it look exactly the same. Diversity and inclusion leaders, how are you really doing? Diversity and inclusion, when the diversity and inclusion people come up to you, it's like, yeah, we want to put this strategy together and we want to do all these different things. And it's like, well, where do they start? University and campus relations. That's where all the action is. That's where all the stuff starts. Give them the feedback. Business organizational leaders, your campus teams. Again, when you get about candidate relation management software, you talk about your campus teams. If you're surveying, how are they interviewing? Are they bringing the right people in? You want to give that feedback to them. What a great opportunity to be able to integrate that with performance reviews and all these different types of things. Fantastic stuff. And then I talked a little bit about the target report card. Here's just a couple of quick examples of some stuff, some metrics, some measurements, and it's like, okay, so on this one, my manager says to me, Doug, why do you want to hire an additional person to join your team? I've got one coordinator and one recruiter. And this is what we did at a company I will leave unnamed, Broadcom. And this is what we did. Yet I started in 2004. Well, we only went from 70 interns, and the actual number for that year, 673. I think I could use another staff. Just one, please. Thank you very much. But if you go in there and go, oh, we travel, we do this, we do, give them some stats, give them some information. It's pretty impressive. I know this is a really bad slide. You can't see it really well, and I really apologize. After I looked at it, it looked awful. So I apologize again. I know that some of the university and campus relations staff that's watching this streamed at Southern California Edison's going, Doug, I can't believe you put black, up there. You can't even see the background. We went out and asked our clients, how is the staff doing? Okay? How many times have you gone to your manager, gone to the president, CEO, somebody and go, our program's doing really great. People think we're outstanding. This is what we're doing. An overall satisfaction rating of 3.49 out of a 4.0. We're doing pretty good. Can we do better? Absolutely. Absolutely could do better. A lot of different types of things. How am I doing on time? Am I good? I got 9 minutes left, and I just ripped right through that? Outstanding. Okay, so I might actually have time. 5 minutes. Okay, good. All right, so we're good to go. Any questions about any of those types of things? I'd be more than happy to. I know people are like, oh God, I don't want to be that person that asked the question. Anyone at all about any of the stuff that I talked about? Yes.
You just showed a graph comparing your company to Broadcom. How did you get those metrics? Is it just word of mouth talking to them?
So the question was, you just showed a graph of what you did over at Broadcom compared to what you did. And actually, I was working at Broadcom, and that was just Broadcom numbers. So I basically I was tracking all that information from year to year to year, waiting for the time when I said, hey, listen, I need an additional staff member. I actually asked for 2 so that I could get 1. We all know how that works. But again, and then we hired an intern as well. But so I was just tracking all that information. Great question. Great question. Yes, in the back. So the question was, what percentage of hires came from our target or key schools versus other schools? So if you're asking currently right now with Southern California Edison, we basically get about 63 to 65% of all of our folks from our target schools, and then the rest of them come, I'm not good with math, you know that, Bonnie. The rest of them come from the non-target schools. I'm really interested to kind of find out too from this group. Some people look at that and they go, that's horrible. You should be getting 90%. That's not our strategy. Our strategy, we want to actually have more of a 50-50 type of a split. We clearly want to maybe 55-45. I have to keep them in those 5s because of the math thing. But I'm just saying it's really important. You always want to have those diamonds in the rough. You always want to have those people that are coming in through LinkedIn. Hey, there's a LinkedIn plug. Through whatever is coming through. Tay, I'm just trying. I just want you to know. But again, you want to be able to have that, so it's really, really important. Good question. Thanks, Bonnie. Anyone else? Yes?
What would you consider a decent rate for an intern to full-time?
The question was, what would I think is a decent rate for an intern to full-time conversion? According to the National Association of Colleges and Employers for 2012, I believe it has now jumped up to like 56%. I think that is the average right now. You have to take that with a grain of salt. I look at it from the standpoint, there's so many people, it's like, I don't want to measure this stuff. We're going to find out that it just isn't as good. Low-hanging fruit. It's like, I went into a place and it's like, we think it's 93%. It was actually 15%. But I was like, sweet. They just hired me. I'm going to take that up. Even if I just go up 5%, I'm in really, really good shape. So you have to take things, if you're laying off people, kind of tough to expect that you're going to, really grow that intern to full-time conversion rate. The goal for most people is to be able to convert them. That's not necessarily the case. That's not always going to happen. One more question, because Steve's up here hovering. Anyone else? Yes.
Any best practices around getting the candidate to really put in specifically how they found out about the position? Some will use it to very general college campus visit, but specifically it was actually something else they need help.
So the question was source of hire. How do you get those people to really tell you where they actually saw you? So again, we use some of our candidate relationship management software to help us with that. Plus, we do surveys front, middle, and back. So when we onboard them, it's like, so you had indicated that you came through our college university program. Could you be a little more specific? Oh yeah, I went to the National Association. I went to the NSBE conference, saw you guys there, and that's actually how I found out about you. Awesome. Exit interview. So, hey, we understand you're leaving. How was your internship? It was fantastic. It was okay, whatever it may be. Okay, just remind me again, how did you actually find out about us? And then mid-time, whether they're an intern or they're actually a full-time, what we do is we actually track people who've been with us for a year, and then 2 years out, and then 3 years out, so that we can find out. And then those times, even in the middle of that, we're asking them, where'd you actually find out about us? So, great question. All right, I got to get out of here. Thank you very much. It was nice talking to you.
That was awesome, Doug. Thank you. For those of us who are in the room, if you have questions, and questions are great, we've got a microphone set up kind of in the middle of the room. It would be awesome if you could go up to the mic and ask your questions, because that way the folks at home and in their offices will be able to hear well. Doug did a great job of repeating back the questions, so if you're kind of sitting in the middle of a section, or for whatever reason can't get over to the mic, then hopefully the different presenters will just be able to do a repeat back, so those watching remotely will be able to hear well. And even those in the room, it can sometimes be hard to hear. So I do have a couple minutes here, so I'm just going to throw in my 2 cents worth. One of the questions was the sort of the source of hire and candidate self-identification. There was a study done probably 5, 6, 7 years ago by a niche job board, not us, that posted jobs to their site and then worked really closely with one of their major employer clients to track how many of the candidates who saw the posting on the job board and clicked directly to the employer site and applied, how many of them correctly identified that job board as being the source of hire. And 83% did not accurately self-identify their source of hire. So basically you are far better off not asking the candidate what their source of hire is than to ask the candidate. If you're only going to get accurate information 17% of the time, it becomes very misleading. Their number one source of hire, according to the drop down in their ATS, was a job board that they had never used. Okay, I'll give you a clue. Every February, there's a big game that's usually played somewhere in the South, and it has like an oblong kind of a ball and the word foot at the beginning of that. And it's a really big bowl. It's what some might call it a Super Bowl. And this job board advertises a lot on it. So it has a strong employer brand. The candidate sees the drop down. They have to answer something. And so they pick something that they think might be logical, that they don't really care where they came from. You care. So it's really up to you to gather the metrics. There are a number of vendors out there. Again, we don't do this, but there are a number of vendors out there that will be able to provide you with what you want to ask them for is a unique URL. Some of the applicant tracking systems do it, where every ad you run, newspaper, radio, TV, LinkedIn, banners, whatever, every one of those ads has its own web page address. They all go to the same place on your site, but you can track the source automatically, and then you don't have to rely on a candidate to do something that they shouldn't really need to be doing.